This is the DLED7N-C for color, N for NEO. NEO is the new line of focusing LED Dedolights, 6-channel RGBACL full spectrum. And they partnered up with ChromaLink, who's doing amazing work on color engines and diodes in order to make this light as a collaborative project, and it's really exciting. So I'll dive right into it and we'll take a look at the beam qualities. I'm not going to go too deep into functionality in the app and in the menu. We'll just start with what I like to do the most, which is, what does the light look like? What does the beam look like? Okay, in this case, it's really good at making hard light. It's amazing with modifiers, but right out of the box, you should be able to do what all open face 6-channel LED systems can't do, which is focus the light down. So this is the initial beam here, set at its widest. It's about 50 degrees. It's beautifully homogeneous, just like you would expect a Dedolight to be. And with a couple turns of the focusing knob, if you've ever worked with the DLED7 before, you know what that looks like. Down to 15 degrees in full spot. So a beautiful light ratio for a 6-channel full spectrum light of about 1:4, which, as far as I know, you need to have like a Fresnel setup or some type of modifier from another source that you put in another bag in order to make that work on most 6-channel light sources. So right out of the box, the most important thing to understand is that this is a small point focusing light that creates beautiful hard light structures, but it does so much more because of, you know, the guts and the brains and what ChromaLink brought to it with its engine. So there's just a couple things that we should go through, like right off the bat. How can you control this light? Other than Wi-Fi, Bluetooth mesh, you know, ArtNet connectivity, doing advanced 16-bit work, connecting to third-party applications, DMXable, keep going. So I've turned the light on, and now I'm going to go down into the menu here that is on the ballast itself. So in order to rifle through the different possibilities you have in the menu, so let's say the different categories, this is color temperature, this is an HSI kind of color wheel, so hue, saturation, intensity, then you have XY values that you can select, then you have gel settings that you can go through, preset Roscoe and Lee gels. What I'm doing here is I'm just pressing the right menu button and it's advancing to the next menu item. This is the effect menu where, again, I'm not going to get into it, but anything that you pretty much can expect to do from this, it is there. Here is a single color selector between all the 6 channels, and doing some more color science, you can get deep into your values in each channel. An RGBW menu where you can start to replicate color as if it were an RGBW system, which it is not. And back to the CCT menu. That's the basic controls that you can rifle through in the tiny little menu that you have on a very small ballast, which it needs to be because the perk to having this light in a 6-channel system is that it's so small and portable. And you could put 3 or more of them in a kit, which is really great. However, I highly recommend that you use the free ChromaLink app that ChromaLink has provided to work with their lights. And if you've ever worked with their lights, now this system works with their lights. So they're all integrated now. And if you do use the ChromaLink app, then you know what I'm talking about in terms of the ease of use, the speed at which you can connect to each individual light head, a family of light head, a group of light heads, and you can really make them do super dynamic stuff in this free app that comes with ChromaLink engines. So I am going to transfer all my control over now to my iPad, where I can show you a little bit more and I can control a little bit faster how we want to look at this light and how we want to look at the beam. Okay, so I'm going to open up the ChromaLink app and I'm going to use Bluetooth. I'm really close to this single light. I've got a small stage here and I don't need to use Wi-Fi, ArtNet. I'm not going to get too serious into that right now, so I just want to kind of control this light quickly. I've already connected to this light before, so it instantly connects back to it. And I also have an Orion 300 that I'm working with right here, and I can control both of them in this app right now. I have some quick settings here in CCT. All of the menu items that I was rifling through the ballast manually are all up here on the top of this particular version, which is an iPad version of the app. It's the same thing with a tablet, same thing with the phone. They have various, looks or features to the app. However, this is the way that it presents itself for an iPad. I have quick little settings here. I can do 6500, 5600, 3200. I think it would be important for us to take some quick readings at 5600 and 3200 since so many of you kind of have worked with lights that are in that space, and it will give you at least a foundation and to understand where we're at in terms of intensity for this light, which doesn't have a white diode in it. It is blending all these colors in order to make these values. So that's important to keep in mind. So at 3200, and I'm in full spot with the DLED7, full up intensity from 10 feet and see where we're at. I have about 63 foot candles from that distance. And then I'm going to set it at 5600, give you an idea of what that beam quality looks like. Again, we do not have a white diode in this light. That's about 60 foot candles. That is the full spot, brightest we can get this light in tungsten 3200 and daylight 5600. Now, I'm going to go through a couple of the little menu items here. There's the HSI color wheel so that you can actually start breaking out into really smooth, if you want to, transitions between color, and you can see how beautifully the engine from ProLink works and is designed here. I can saturate that color all the way out using this wheel. It's a pretty beautiful way to control and get to a particular color space. I can do that through the XY values. I can also do it through preset gels. The preset gels are pretty simple between Roscoe and Lee. Right now I'm at red in the Roscoe space and I'm going down into violet in the Roscoe space. Then I'm going to go into daffodil. I mean, I think you get the idea here. Here's source matching. So we have like various forms of incandescent light bulbs that exist, fluorescence. You can go into discharge lights. You can go into mercury vapor. We have ceramic here, xenon light. And then you have like practical prefab sources like candle, gas, mobile phone settings. These are single color balanced temperatures and colors that they've sourced out to replicate these particular sources. Then we go into lighting effects. Okay, so right now I'm in my favorite one because I think it really shows off how beautiful and how saturated the 6-channel ProLink engine is, and how beautiful it is when it's blending with Dedolight's optics. We're in a space here where you were showing off a lot of the different colors it can do, how it can transition, how you're getting, you know, this brilliant hues and super saturation in colors that can't be made with an RGBW system. And then I'm just going to show it to you in various kind of forms within the focusable beam so that you get a kind of sense of what this looks like. So here's full spot, 15 degrees, and then I'm going to slowly kind of bring it out here to kind of a mid-range flood here and give you a sense of what this really cool beam looks like in party mode. Any excuse for me to, you know, try and party, I'll take it. And then all the way out into full flood to get a sense of that ratio of light. This is its whitest. I'm 10 feet from the wall and I've got a lot of saturation here and a beautiful output. And that's what you should expect from a Dedolight. When you turn one on, how wide does it go? How much does it narrow down? I'm going to go back into full spot so we can continue to kind of move on and take a look at some of the other settings here. There's an individual color selector. So right now we're just going to be basically doing some kind of like color science. I'm going to just do full red and take a look at that. I can flood out full red so you can see what that looks like, again in the various forms of the beam just based on the native functionality. And you're going to get some really beautiful hard light qualities out of this because this is a small point light source that's focusable. Again, 1:4 light ratio. Now you can really start blending light here if you know the values that you want to work with in terms of a 6-channel setup. So if you really want to dial in really specific stuff, as if you haven't been able to do it with some of the other menus, let's just look at it from a color science perspective and the 6-channel direct setup here, okay? Then you can go into the an RGBW type setting where you feel as if you're kind of working more on a a white-based foundation that you can add colors to and add saturation to a white-based foundation, so you can actually select your color temperature between that white base and then add to it with certain 3-channel colors, RGB, and start to affect it that way. Now, the really cool settings that I want to get to, which do not exist in the ballast itself, you must use the app to get to them, and they are two of the coolest features that you can use in this app, and they are provided by ProLict. This is the real-time tracking setup. In this, what you're able to do is actually in real time, you're able to select a group of pixels within a video frame that you're referencing, and you can actually start to, in real time, affect the output of the light. So this is not really anything to look at right here. This is my little, wooden table. So I brought one of my favorite magazines here to look at. So if I'm now just kind of grazing over this magazine, you can see that it's actually reading the color in the pixel space and replicating that color for me in real time, okay? That's pretty powerful stuff. And then you can actually pick color too. So if I just wanted to focus on this single purple tone here, this lavender hue here, then I can do that and set to that. But the really cool thing about this color picker here is the ability to record in video a playback source based on those pixels in the map there. And if I want to just hit record here, I can actually start to graze over what it is that I want to mimic in a video as far as playback. So for virtual sets, this is a huge deal for keying out people in a space where you're trying to recreate anything virtually. This has really great value. If you're doing trailer work, this could be a really useful tool. I'm going to pause that. So now I can go back into the menu here in order to find that presetting that I recorded. And if I play it back, it's going to show me in playback here exactly what it was that I was passing by with that little pixel selector in the center of my screen. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's a free app, and you're working with high level 6-channel RGBACL system here that you can really pinpoint with great accuracy a subject and really recreate a virtual space in real time.